Welcome to Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
And today we are talking about two different NFL teams that are not the Jags and not the Dolphins. Shocker, I'm aware. Today is a Team Talks episode, Tyler. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys.
Team talking, let's go.
Team talking, let's go. We had the luxury of having sit-down interviews, virtual sit-down interviews, with our friends of the pod and resident experts in the Eagles and the Cowboys, Steven and Austin, respectively. I know I have to say respectively there because they don't want to be confused for each other team. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, God forbid that happens.
Right there.
Oh, yes. So we're going to get into those interviews later on in the pod, but at first, as always, we're going to start off with quick hits. Tyler, we got a few things here. We're going to move our way quickly through them as we tend to do. But the first one I think is a pretty big one. I got an alert today. We're recording Thursday, April 2nd. I got an alert today from Bleacher Report saying that college football is preparing a contingency plan in case this whole coronavirus situation kind of moves forward into the fall, which we hope it does not. Wait. Before we do any sports, Tyler, how you doing?
I'm okay. It's, as is, people may know by now, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida ordered a stay-at-home order.
About time.
But that just stopped down. So luckily, me and my roommate, right before that was announced, had already done like massive grocery shopping.
Nice.
So I'm good. The weather, it's beautiful out, which sucks because I can't go to the beach. But I am very blessed and lucky to be working from home. I still have my job.
Right.
I'm still blessed at that.
Thankfully.
Been playing a lot of video games in my spare time. Been playing a lot of NCAA 14.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I miss sports, man. So
I know. I just as I said, I don't know if I said this on the pod, but I definitely told you I bought a PlayStation. My television comes in today, so I'll be hooking it up once it comes in, and I have Madden, FIFA, and MLB The Show to play. So I will be getting my works, and occasionally I may do the 11:45 midnight tiptoe down the stairs to play some NCAA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can't forget old reliable over there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm glad it's going well. I'm glad quarantine life is well for the most part. And remember, as always, stay safe. That's the
Absolutely.
motto.
Stay safe.
That's the motto. But let's go ahead and be that distraction for you. Let's talk about college football. The contingency plan in case this coronavirus thing goes into the fall. It's a little interesting, Tyler, on what the athletic directors are kind of saying. There's proposals of playing a 9-game conference-only season. There's proposals of starting the season in January or February and having a playoff be later on into the season in May, possibly June. There's possibility of just having student athletes return to school and not the student body as a whole. There's tons of things going on here, Tyler. Just the craziness of what's happening. How realistic do you think any of these scenarios that Brett McMurphy laid out over here, how realistic are they?
It's really hard for me to parse out what is realistic and what would not be. The thing that I'm kind of set on is that I do believe that we will have a college football season in some capacity. There is just too much money involved.
Sure.
Now, I know that schools would not want to move to only conference games for the simple fact that, we won't get Oregon, Ohio State. That's millions of dollars.
We won't get Florida State on a selfish level.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be hard. It's honestly more realistic to me that they would just move the whole season back. That creates just a massive mind craziness with all of the timelines involved because everything in the sports world and in college football and in the NFL football with the NFL draft, it's all structured around when the seasons are scheduled. And they're also structured around, it's very simply put, student body semesters.
Right.
And as time has gone on, that has become more and more loose, and this is a very exceptional case, so it would become very loose. I think that football season will happen in some fashion. I think it's more likely that they push it back than they just go conference games, honestly.
Yeah, I think they would still try to play a full season of full 12 regular season games rather than cutting out 3 games or something and just playing conference. I mean, come on, you can't forget about the UCF North Carolina Chapel Hill neutral site meeting in Atlanta, Tyler, or in Charlotte, I think. No, it's in Atlanta. In Atlanta, Tyler, come on, that's something that we
Yeah,
We
that's what
need
we're
to see
excited
that.
about.
Yeah, it's going to be Sam Howell's coming out party to the country against the recent national champions. Tyler, come on. Uh, no, I think the one important quote in this entire Bleacher Report article is that one athletic director said, quote, "There is absolutely no way my president would allow something like that to occur." And this is in reference to starting the season in January or February and extending it past the draft, like they said, or even cutting down some of the games. So it's just something that was thrown out there. There's not much college football news to talk about right now, so we thought that would be something that would be interesting to lead with. Something else that happened in college football world, recruiting dead period has been extended to May 31st, which means there is no recruiting at any college athletic level. The NCAA has extended the dead period until May 31st, and by default, the SEC has also canceled their spring meetings, which were set for the end of May in Destin, Florida. So a couple things getting canceled, things are getting extended. It's just necessary, at a time like this.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We joke a lot about always be Curtin, but we're begging people to not be Curtin.
Yeah, but you know who's not listening to us, Tyler?
Any college football coach?
Specifically, a man by the name of Mike Leach.
Mike Leach.
Tyler, Mike Leach has landed a top 300. Mike Leach has landed a top 300 quarterback. And guess what his name is?
Give it to me.
Sawyer Robertson. Mike Leach has landed a quarterback by the name of Sawyer.
Name I've ever heard.
Tyler. Oh my gosh, he is 6'3", 185 pounds, so a little underweight. Got the size, and he's just got to fill out of Colorado High School in Lubbock, Texas. So in Texas backyard, is one of the top pocket passing quarterbacks in the 2021 class. He's the number 51 overall ranked player according to ESPN, and is the second highest ranked prospect for the program since 2015 when Jamal Peters, the safety, signed.
What?
Tyler, you want to know some stats?
Give it to me.
Over the past 2 seasons, given he's a junior, right?
Yeah.
So his freshman and sophomore year in high school, Robertson has thrown for 87 touchdowns and more than 7,000 yards.
87?
87.
Good Lord.
Tyler, it's like Mike Leach created a quarterback in a laboratory. Tall, skinny, and
they just need to get him on campus
right now.
Get him on campus.
Online classes, we can just do that. Yeah. Oh, and guess what? He's set to join the baseball team as well.
Of course. Well, because they saw John Rice Plumlee at Ole Miss, and they're like, "No, we can't let Ole Miss outdo us with a quarterback that's also on the baseball team."
Nope. We gotta step it up. Mississippi State has a good baseball program.
They do. They have a really good baseball program.
That's a good land.
Dude, it's funny. This particular weird truncated, possibly moved season, possibly the best team that this could benefit is Mississippi State, because they were going to have a heavy transition year.
Oh, heavy year. No, well, here's the thing though, it can be great for them, and it can be horrible for them. Because I was listening to PAPN, highly recommend, and someone was saying that the impact of losing spring practices and the potential of losing summer camp, fall camp in the summer, is big, especially for teams like Mississippi State with Mike Leach, where they have to implement the system. So you're saying the system was going to be a transition year, but maybe it just pushes the transition year. Maybe it just pushes it to further. So I mean, you can't expect something like this.
Yeah, and I think that this really, whatever season we get for college football, the key will be looking at teams with continuity.
Exactly.
Those are going to be the ones that will probably be the most successful, because you will not have spring practices.
Right. One team, the Florida Gators, are a team with continuity going into their third season.
You said it.
I said it because we need this. We need this season to happen, because this is our shot, man. This is the best. We're not going to go down that road. We've done it too many times.
No, I can't go down that road.
No, we're not going to do it. Let's head on west. Let's go back to Oregon. Ex-Boston College quarterback Anthony Brown has transferred to Oregon. He will be eligible to play immediately whenever the season kicks off. He was an on-again, off-again starter for Boston College, and it looks like he's just coming in to back up Tyler Show. I put on a rundown that he's going to compete with him, because Mario Cristobal has said multiple times that the quarterback position is not solidified, that he is going with an open mind. And that's the reason that other quarterback transfers didn't want to go to Oregon, because they weren't guaranteed the starting spot. So this seems like, okay, a reliable starter, on-again, off-again starter who has Power 5 experience, comes in, can take command of a quarterback room if necessary, but also can just be like that guidance that someone, a redshirt sophomore like Tyler Show, is going to need if he does indeed, which is what we think he will. All indications out of Eugene is that.
All signs point to Tyler Show being the quarterback.
So I think it's a good pickup.
This just kind of just like a contingency safety plan. I mean, like Anthony Brown has had good moments. He'd be at a much more talented team at Oregon. So
exactly.
This kind of raises the floor.
But, and it's a thing where maybe Anthony Brown just wasn't delivering at Boston College because he didn't have the talent around him. We know that Mario Cristobal is a phenomenal coach, as he's proven, and that if you put the right players around, sometimes, like you talk about your quarterback rankings, where is a player, can they make plays on their own? Are they a system player, or are they just not a good? Or are they? How do you say it? You have a?
It's there's 4 tiers. There's dominators. Who like you fear stepping onto the field because they take over the game. There's playmakers that can make plays outside of structure. They add an element to the offense, put it over the top. There's conductors, which are literally just like the coaches put the offense through them, but they don't really add anything to it. They are just a vehicle by which the offense moves. They don't move it themselves.
Right.
And then there's the 4th tier, and that's just bad quarterbacks.
Right.
So they don't really play.
So is Anthony Brown in that 4th tier, or is he a conductor? And that's a thing where we have to find out. Maybe he gets put in the Oregon system and he can produce, or maybe he's just not a good quarterback. Regardless, he's transferred over to Oregon, and that's your college football news for today. That's all we got. Tyler, let's transition over to the NFL before we go into our team talks for today. There was a rumor.
Was there?
There was. I'm wearing my old school Dolphins hat today, by the way. That the Miami Dolphins potentially are interested in maybe having the possibility of entertaining the idea of trading up for one Joe Burrow at the number 1 overall pick. I have made my thoughts.
I think it'd be a great idea.
I've made my thoughts on Joe Burrow very clear on this podcast, on and off this podcast. Let me make it perfectly clear. If the trade package that we are sending to Cincinnati, the potential trade package we're sending to Cincinnati, includes 3 or more first-round picks, quarantine be damned. I'm driving to Miami, and there will be no social distance between Chris Greer and I.
Specifically between your hands and his face.
Yes. I hope that he could play wide receiver because he's about to catch these hands. No, but like, I'm cool with trading for Burrow. I'm cool with giving up assets for Burrow, and I understand it. I think it would take maybe 2 firsts and a second, or maybe 1 first and like 3 seconds. And I get that, and I'd be cool with that because I'm not. Listen, my quarterback tiers for this draft are Tua, then Burrow, and then Herbert. Personally, so if this means that, maybe they're not sold on the Tua medicals and maybe they don't want to take the chance. I understand that. But also, I would prefer this than just sitting at 5 and taking Herbert, personally.
Yeah. So, no, I agree. I just don't see a world where Cincinnati trades away that number 1 pick.
We do forget to factor in the GMs are stupid angle. We do forget that sometimes. So it could be, but I don't know. This is a new era of the Dolphins. I feel like last year they earned the right for us Dolphins to trust them, which is I hate you. Which Dolphin Tyler just mouthed. It's what we say, all right? It's what we do. Us Dolphin fans.
No, continue.
They have earned the right for us to trust them, and so I am going to go in with an open mind. And like that's the thing. Even if we do draft Herbert at pick 5, and I have to drink a 5th of vodka, I would.
Just a 5th?
Yeah, on draft night. I think it would be. I would kind of warm up to the idea and start to trust them again because they've proven it to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean, as long as the Jaguars don't draft a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah, like a couple mock drafts I've seen.
I can't. No.
So that's my opinion on the Miami trading up to take Burrow. If it happens at a decent price, I'm okay with it. If we overpay for it, if we sell the farm and mortgage the house and give them our firstborn child, I'm going to have a fit. So that's that on that. Lastly,
now let's go on to actual solid real NFL news.
Exactly, yeah. Listen, something that broke right after I finished my interview with Austin about the Cowboys. The Cowboys have added Aldon Smith, the former San Francisco 49er. He last played in the NFL in 2015. He had 47 and a half sacks in 59 career games. Like, this was a good football player. This was a phenomenal football player. I mean, it's been 5 years since he's been in the league. He is now 30 years old. He was cut by the Niners because he had multiple DUIs and domestic violence cases, and that is not ideally what you want on your football team. So understandably so, the Niners cut him, and this is kind of his first opportunity. It's oh so poetic that it's the Dallas Cowboys that are giving him the opportunity, because Jerry Jones has proven to us time and time again that he values product on the field over kind of public image, is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Is a nice way to put it. And so they're giving him a 1-year deal. And Austin and I were talking in our interview about a few defensive end prospects because that's one of their needs. And while I don't think this addresses it, I don't think it changes their draft situation. I do think it's important to know that they do have a former All-Pro, a former Pro Bowler, elite first-round pick player on the roster. Obviously, probably not going to
4 years though.
Exactly,
so.
Probably not going to be at that level, but I mean, it's nice if your backup is a former first rounder and had in his 59 career games has had 47 and a half sacks. You know, so just a fair warning.
Just
for
to let everyone know that news had not dropped when
exactly that news dropped after my interview with Austin. Tyler, anything else for quick hits that you want to talk about, or can we get into these team talks?
Get into these team talks, baby.
Yeah. All right. So the first interview that you are going to hear is between Tyler and Steven, and they will be talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. Right after that, you are going to hear my interview with Austin about the Dallas Cowboys, and we will see you on the other end of that.
It's Tyler, and I'm here with noted Eagles fan, friend of the pod, Steven Peters. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. How are you doing, bud?
I'm great. How's the good old global pandemic treating you?
You know, man, it's a global pandemic. It's a lot of fun. You know how it is. Got nothing to do.
I mean, clearly, yes, we all know how it be.
We all know how it be.
Yeah, and how's no sports treating you?
It's horrible. It's horrendous.
It sucks. I have been diving into NCAA 14, the video game.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, we've been playing a lot of Call of Duty Warzone. That's been our big thing right now.
Nice.
Because, literally, me and Anthony, my roommate, were headlong into Madden for so long. And then it was a couple of weeks ago, we just kind of slowly stopped playing, as you do at the end of the game's life cycle. And now it's just I'm kind of part of me wants to play it again, but also part of me is afraid because I'm I don't know if all my scheme still works. I don't know if I can play my scheme. It's great. So that's what we're doing. It's great.
Sergio and I have a thing ongoing where we both did an NCAA 14 Dynasty. We both started off as the offensive coordinator for Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then we were just going to see how far we could go. So right now I'm the head coach of Washington State, and both of my top two running backs have been gone out for the season with injury. So.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, it's going great. Yeah.
It's terrific.
But let's talk about other teams with injury issues.
Yes.
So we brought you in here to talk about your noted Philadelphia Eagles. You're wearing a Philadelphia Eagles hat right now. Wonderful.
Yes.
And I'm just going to ask you a couple questions about your team going into the draft, because the draft is still happening. Thank God.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's going to happen in just a room. It's going to be old school. It's going to be so cool.
The least involved, production-wise draft ever, but it's probably going to be the most viewed one of all time.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see it. I'm excited.
Yeah. So first things first, to start off with what's your assessment of your team last season?
Assessment last season.
The last season where you guys are.
I think the big thing with the Birds, ever since the Super Bowl run in 2017 now?
2017.
It's 2 years ago. 3 years ago now. Wow.
Technically.
It's just like it feels like every offseason since, like the team on paper is they should be competing to go back, and the issue has been the past 2 years. Obviously, injuries have derailed that. I mean, it's very highly noted that this past season, this Eagles team was decimated by injuries to the point that it was hardly recognizable from the start of the year to how it finished the year. And the same thing was the year before. And it's just kind of, the injury bug has not been kind in Philadelphia. Whether that is medical personnel, off-season training programs, whatever it is. There's something there that it just seems that these guys just can't stay healthy. And, I mean, that's just really been the bugaboo, is every time it feels like, even last year, we were, at one point it was, the team was performing well. I mean, I remember when we beat Buffalo, and Buffalo was still, I think it was when they were like 5-1 or something, and they were still like hot, and we said, okay, the team's turning the corner, and then the injuries kept piling up, and then it was like you're staring at 6-7, and you have to win out to win the division, and it's not ideal football. It's not ideal football. But since that Super Bowl run, man, it's been like, well, we can overcome injuries. We overcame Carson Wentz, in his basically MVP caliber year, getting hurt. But ever since then, it's just kind of been like, can't really overcome. No wide receivers, no defensive backs. It's hard.
Well, that kind of, you bring it up. We'll just bring you my next question, but real quick, I just want to ask, do you think that that's more of a the players that they have, that's issues that that the players have, or is that an issue of like the medical staff, or just dumb bad luck? Like,
I think
sometimes that happens.
I think it could be a combination of both. I mean, bringing in an older Deshaun Jackson is not the answer. I mean, as much as we love Deshaun in the city of Philadelphia, the thing is, what is he? He's 32 now. A 32-year-old burner is, it's not what it was when he was 22 and taking the league by storm. And he's older. He can't hold up. He only played 3 games, really 1 game this past year, and that was like supposed to be a lot of our fix, was that, okay, now we had an over-the-top threat, and look what ended up happening there. Yeah. I can speak a little bit onto the medical staff. Obviously, I'm not a medical professional at all, but the Eagles are one of the few teams in the league that has consistently changed medical personnel within the last 5 years, and they actually just did it again. There's definitely something to be looked into there. Why is that? And the track record probably shows that these guys just aren't staying healthy. And the issue is, well, why? And that's, the GM Howie Roseman said we have to get younger. So age is definitely a thing into it. But also it's like, well, what has this training staff been doing, or lack thereof, So, but these are all obviously speculative. It could just be bad luck. We don't know.
Yeah, you never know for sure. But that kind of leads me to my next question. What are, to you, as noted Eagles fan, what are your team's biggest needs going into the draft?
Well, I think it's the most, what's the word? It's the most obvious answer. That if all 32 teams are trying to guess what each other needs, the Philadelphia Eagles are no secret. They need a wide receiver. That's you can turn on the TV right now. It's who is Carson Wentz throwing the football to? The miss on the DeAndre Hopkins trade, which right now seems unforgivable at the moment.
Considering what you could have, what you've had to give up, like
considering that, Howie Roseman came out and said that what the Cardinals got, or what the deal the Cardinals got, was not what we were receiving. But when DeAndre Hopkins is on the trading block, and you can get that opportunity to get an instant plug-in player that's going to revitalize a really scorched earth position, you do it. You do it. Instead, now what's happened is we are now entering a draft where it's like whoever this wide receiver is or however many they draft, the beat writers, the fans, the day one of training camp, it's going to be, is X and Y or X, Y, and Z or just X, are they the answer? Are they going to be producing right off the bat? And the issue, obviously, is if you look to last year's draft, we drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the second, and so far that has been a train wreck considering the fact that DK Metcalf was, still available. Numerous other options were still available on the board, and you went with this guy, and he's still young. He's only 1 year, but it's a thing.
Not looking great.
Not looking great. It's just a lot of pressure on whoever. And I mean, I'm just guessing, but I think it's a pretty solid guess that it's going to be a wide receiver in the first round. Mm-hmm. But it's whoever that wide receiver is, whether they're at 21 or if they're traded up for, it's going to be immense pressure to perform, to come into camp, to come into the locker room and basically, be the guy. And the unfortunate thing is, it's really hard to draft one of those dudes because there's ever so many every couple of years that it's like, well, this is just an immediate plug-and-play guy. And are there a couple this draft? Yes. Would they be there at 21? I don't think so. But
yeah, which that's the thing. This you picked a good draft to need a wide receiver.
Yes,
because this is a relatively stacked wide receiver draft class. Which we've been looking at a lot of mock drafts. We've been doing our own mock drafts here at Sideline Judgment, and
yes.
Sergio and I have kind of discovered that because of the value of the position, how deep it is, you might see wide receivers get pushed down the draft board.
You could,
simply because you could get not that much of a drop-off player later, so you're more incensed to get others. Which kind of leads. What are your favorite wide receivers in this draft class?
Well, I think
who do you think? Well, who would you like the Eagles to target, and who do you think that they will target?
Who do I want them to go after? Obviously, us being SEC fans, it's either Henry Ruggs or it's Jerry Jeudy. It's one of the two of them.
That's who
take. We've seen them perform.
You have the correct take.
Yeah, we've seen them perform. I think Henry Ruggs is more realistic that he could be there at 21 or that he is the trade target. Let me go back here, look at some of those. Those stats on him, 5'11", 180 pounds, great build for that position. Definitely not a tall guy, but definitely more, route running burner type. Definitely what the team needs. A vertical threat. A vertical threat. We have not had a vertical threat since Deshaun originally left, and obviously now Deshaun's back, but a shell of himself, I guess. It is what it is. But so it's either one of those two that I would prefer. Obviously, if for some way, in some way in hell, there's a chance at CeeDee Lamb, that would be amazing. But he's not getting out of the top 10.
No, that's not happening.
Another is the two others are T. Higgins and Justin Jefferson. Those are definite possibilities. But I've unfortunately started preparing my spirit, as our dance professor Andrew Kao says. A lot of the beat writers lately have been pointing to KJ Hamler from Penn State as being the perceived target. And just being crystal clear on that from CBS Sports, he is the 59th ranked prospect. And I can already hear the fans saying you're going to take a 59th ranked prospect at 21, and he's only 5'9", 178 pounds. I can hear it already, but the signs are too easy. He's Penn State. He's best friends with Miles Sanders. Obviously being in the Keystone State, there's a lot of connection there, and it's just like, oh, we're going to do this again. We're going to do a Marcus Smith again. I mean, I would listen, if he was the pick and he came in and proved me wrong, I would love it. But it just seems like I've prepared myself. I'm prepared, you know?
That's good. It's good that you're mentally preparing yourself. Sergio and I have to do a lot of that because our teams are terrible.
Of course.
Sergio especially is having to deal with trying to draft a quarterback, and it's very stressful. But so you mentioned the ones that you're kind of your favorite. I like a lot of those players. It's a very good draft class. KJ Hamler is somebody I do feel like you could get in the second round.
That's the thing is I feel like that's a second round guy, but you know this team has reached before, and Howie Roseman has reached. You know, he's been drafting for 6 years now, and he's reached. He has reached. So you could see it.
Yeah, which kind of brings me up to the next point. Like, what do you think the team's draft strategy will be around this? In the sense of like, do you think they're going to stay at 21? Do you think that wide receiver is clearly the target? Or they maybe get a dress linebacker or corner instead at the first round pick? Or
well, here's the thing right now. A lot of people know the number one need of the Philadelphia Eagles is wide receiver. They don't really know the second need. The second need is linebacker. There is the linebacker position right now is decimated. There is really nobody on the roster. Nathan Gary, converted safety playing linebacker, who ranked last in Pro Football Focus out of all linebackers for missed tackles. So that's terrific. You let Nigel Bradham walk. Jordan Hicks had a bounce back year in Arizona. It's not that is the second position of need. However, I think they really they're smart and they know that wide receiver is the more pressing need.
Yeah.
And I think it's
especially
it's gonna be
NFL.
Yeah. Especially with all the pressure right now. You know, you have Carson Wentz basically carrying a team to the playoffs with throwing to Greg Ward Jr. and two other dudes whose names are completely escaping me because they came off the street and literally were catching balls. Like he needs somebody. In the Alshon Jeffrey drama that has plagued this team for the past year, it seems, you know, that's not helping either. You know, wide receiver is the number one thing they got to go into, and that's what they're going to address first and foremost. I hope they're looking in trading up. I really hope. Do I think they're going to do it? No, I don't think they want to move off of the capital that they have. I think they're very content staying at 21. And I don't think anybody's really going to move up to 21 because we all know that a lot of the movement is going to be happening between 15 and probably 5. Though, you know, obviously there's the number one pick trade, you know, looming possibly of the Dolphins snagging up there for Burrow or Tagovailoa, you know, one of those. But, you know, I would love to see them push into the top 15, possibly if the price was right to try and get a Ruggs or a Judy. But, you know, I think they're very content, you know, especially considering the lack of free agency wide receiver signings this offseason. They're content sitting there at 21, and whoever, you know, comes, they'll take. And if they are definitely leaning towards KJ's definitely going to be there, so they're going to take him. But basically, strategy-wise after that, man, it's you got to immediately start looking at linebackers, and the issue is this draft is not a fruitful linebacker draft.
No,
it's
really.
Not at all. So it's like once you get out past Isaiah Simmons and Kenneth Murphy out of Oklahoma, it dries up. I mean,
Malik Harrison from Ohio State's pretty good, and Patrick Green from LSU those are like good second tier. But after that, I honest to God could not tell you a linebacker in this class.
Nope. I mean, just going off of CBS again, it's, you know, Patrick Queen and Zach Bond are 34 and 35th respectively, and the next linebacker doesn't come up until 76. So it's a dramatic drop off. It's, you know, and that's the kind of the bad thing the Eagles put themselves in, is that they said we're gonna get thin at this one position. And unfortunately, this one position is not very fruitful this draft.
Yeah, sometimes you just get unlucky in that regard.
You
haven't mentioned corner. I imagine that's because the Eagles signed Darius Slay. What are your feelings on that?
I think I'll put it to you in my Philadelphia Eagles terms. Darius Slay is going to get burned, but at least it's not Jalen, and at least it's not Rasul. So someone else is getting burned. It's great. No, listen, big play Slay. I've always enjoyed watching him play. He can still play. He's going to be a tremendous upgrade over what's been playing out there, which is essentially wet Band-Aids. He's going to do better. Is he going to be the be-all, end-all, fix-all? No, absolutely not. He is, proven on tape that he gets torched by route runners, i.e. Amari Cooper over there in Dallas. And Terry McLaurin even had a field day with him last year. So, is he going to be a tremendous fix? No. But is he going to be a better fix? Yes.
Absolutely.
But I also, it goes without saying that it's like, at least having a number one corner kind of sets everything up a little bit better.
Yeah, you can structure your defense around that a little bit.
And Slay is, he's big play Slay for a reason. He loves that playing against the number one on the other team. He doesn't ask for help. That's, pretty obviously stated in his demeanor and how his defensive coordinator's game plan with him, that he doesn't ask for over-the-top help a lot and doesn't need underneath help. He is very confident in that one-on-one role. And, that's kind of been the thing in Philadelphia, is that there's been a lot of great 2s and 3s, but there really hasn't been a great number one corner since Asante Samuel. And you're looking at that, and that's 2009 when Asante left the Birds. So
that's
it's
11 years ago.
11 years ago. There hasn't been a consistent defensive back in there. I guess Malcolm has been a defensive back for us consistently, these past couple of years up until now. But, at corner, absolutely not.
No, because a lockdown corner is more valuable than a really good safety.
Yeah. And, now they're moving Jalen Mills to that position. They're saying, Jalen's come out and said, I'm playing the Malcolm role, and I'm playing sub-linebacker and safety. And we're going to see how that turns out. I love Jalen. I love his confidence, but we all know that he's not the greatest coverage guy. But you know what? You can give him a lot of shit. But that guy, he's 5'10", and he likes to hit. So he might play well in that position, which might be good.
Awesome. So in this draft as a whole, I'm going to ask you to live in a fantasy world real quick.
Yes.
What is your dream haul?
Dream haul.
Everything fell into place for you. What would you want out of this draft class? You don't have to list off every single pick, but just
I'm looking at the guys right now. I think dream wise, man, I think Henry Ruggs would be amazing. At linebacker in the second round, possibly, I would love Patrick Queen.
Yeah,
he's good in the run, good in coverage. Eagles play a 4-3 defense. They don't like playing any other sub-package besides a 4-3 base. Every down guy, definitely that would be nice.
Yeah.
After that, man, if there could be a center, a good center taken, because it's no secret in Philadelphia that this very well could be Jason Kelsey's last year. Just have that, that diamond in the rough center. And I'm not sure about who the centers are coming out this year, but if they could just snag somebody, diamond in the rough dude who just kind of comes in, and Kelsey goes away next year, retires, and this new guy comes in, that would be tremendous. I think a dream draft for me is if we have, I want to say 9 picks. I want to say.
Let me fact check real quick.
Please fact check me. Eagles picks 2020.
This is great podcasting.
This is great podcasting. 10 picks. We have 10 picks.
10 picks.
10 picks. If out of if we never
not
traded,
as much as my
my
team's number of picks or Sergio's, but go on. Your team may be better, but that's inconsequential.
Listen, man, I think at the end of the day, the dream draft is that out of those 10 picks, we're not trading any of them. This is saying we're not trading any of them, or that of those 10 picks, at least 6 of them are starters. Or go become a starter within the next year.
Yeah.
Because
that's a good hit rate.
Listen, if there's one thing about Philadelphia drafts, they have not been productive. The past 4 years, I don't want to make up a number here, but I remember Steve Sr. and I taking a look at some stuff and being like, wow, there's only like 3 guys from the past 4 drafts who are still on this team. And that's not good. You know, they've been notorious for drafting poorly. You know, I already said earlier about taking Arcega-Whiteside over Metcalf, when we all knew Metcalf was the much better player. Like, you didn't, even though he was not a great route runner, you still knew that dude was a better wide receiver than the 6'4" guy from Stanford who all he ever really did was play against, you know, mediocre defensive backs. We knew that. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just...
What do you know, Steven?
What do I know? I'm just...
I mean, clearly not enough. You're talking to me on this podcast. So, so I'm going to move on a little bit on from that. And in a similar vein, we had a happy moment. I'm going to bring you down to a sad moment.
Please.
Looking at the other teams in your division, what is your nightmare situation for you, a Philadelphia Eagles fan? For your division rivals in the draft.
Okay, I'll give you...
Who do you want each team to draft like the least?
I really want the Redskins to not take Chase Young. Like, I want a situation...
Good luck with that, buddy.
I want a situation where they take Tua or someone because they don't like... because Rivera doesn't like Haskins. I would love that. That would be amazing. That's not going to happen. They're going to take Chase Young, and that's going to suck because that guy's going to, you know, kind of be a threat.
One of my favorite things from this last season was when the Giants beat the Redskins late in the season, and somebody said, with that touchdown pass, Daniel Jones has just solidified that Chase Young will be sacking him for the next 5 years.
Yeah. It's going to... And listen, man, right now we don't have a possible left tackle. Andre Dillard's going to get the nod, and that's, you know, second-year player. I can tell you they're going to put Chase Young right off of him because they're not going to send Chase Young and Lane Johnson. No, they're going to send him at the new guy. It's going to be horrible. So I guess that would be a nightmare situation for the Skins. For the Giants, the fun thing with the Giants was that they weren't a real serious team that I consider to be a real team. Honestly, though, I would be...
The thing about the Giants is that they sucked.
I know, but the thing, it's not even really... It might be against your question here, but the thing I'm most worried about is if their new coach figures it out. Because the issue is you've got... Obviously, Daniel Jones, as much as we gave them jokes about drafting him...
He played a lot better than I thought he would.
He can play. The dude proved he can play.
Yeah.
They still have, you know, Saquon Barkley, arguably the best all-around receiving back, also, you know, pure running back in the league. Even though after a down year last year, he still was doing relatively well. You know, if they just put it together. It seemed like Shermer, for the past 2 years with them, really just didn't know how to put those wheels and those pieces together. If the Giants, though, ended up taking like a Henry Ruggs, you know, Jerry Jeudy, I would be sad. I would be very sad. You know, because then that's another wide receiver. At least, you know, we've had to deal with Amari. We're going to deal with Terry McLaurin now. You know, that would be a third guy we have to deal with, and I don't want that.
That would not be great for you guys.
That would not be great.
Yeah, and for the boys.
For the boys, I had to save the most hated for last.
There it is.
Honestly, I don't really like to think about them that much. I think...
This is true hatred.
If they draft
apathy is greater than hatred, so I love this.
if they draft a new stud tight end, that would suck. For the past, X amount of years, except that one off year, Jason Witten has torched us, has, decisively, cut us with just
Absolutely.
quick hitches, underneath meshes, just simple curls. I mean, the fact that we're just always so susceptible to the tight end position whenever we play the Cowboys, the past 10 years especially. If they get a new stud tight end, I would just be disappointed. Because, listen, Ezekiel Elliott's still going to run down our throat. Dak, for as bad as he is still going to have his Superman moments against us for no reason. And Amari Cooper is still a route-running god and is still going to torch us. So, at least give me one less position that I don't have to worry about. So, At least do that.
Yeah, if I were you, I'd be worried about them taking a stud safety, just because that's one position that they don't have locked down on defense.
Well, now they don't have a corner either, with Byron Jones leaving as well.
Ooh, true.
They don't really have that, but I mean, no tea, no shade. I never really considered Byron Jones a number one corner.
Yeah, when I heard that it's Byron Jones is now the most highest paid corner, I was like, who?
I said why?
Well, not really. I knew who Byron Jones was, but
he's good. But I mean, everyone he's always been I remember any time we played the Cowboys the past couple of years, it hasn't been wow, I wonder how we're getting by Byron Jones.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always been how are we stopping Zeke? How are we stopping Amari?
Yes.
What are you gonna do?
It looks like what you got going for you is that this is not a great tight end class for the boys. The Giants will likely not be taking wide receiver at the number 4 pick, just because it's really high, and they need linebackers. But we don't know, because I don't know anything about Joe Judge. No one knows anything about Joe Judge.
I just remembered that they're picking that high. So is Isaiah Simmons?
He's probably going to go to the... I think that Isaiah Simmons is going to go to the Giants.
Honestly, I was talking with Anthony about this. He's easily one of my favorite players in the draft, just because he just says, he says, I play defense. Dude,
we talk about that all the time. It
just plays everything.
So great.
It's just when was the last time, besides Jabril Peppers? Because Jabril Peppers, was I can play multiple positions, but he really didn't have the size to do it. Yeah, he was really safety. He just didn't have the size to play linebacker or anything. But it's
Isaiah Simmons can literally play.
It's when's the last time you had a guy come out who was almost the perfect measurement and the perfect amount of athleticism that he could play any single position? I don't think he's going to be playing, a 4-technique defensive end and have his hands in the dirt and, go after. But he can still, rush from an outside linebacker position. I mean, it's crazy. It's a Swiss Army knife.
You better hope that he doesn't go there.
I welcome it.
I welcome
the challenge.
All right, whatever you say.
Just kidding.
Yeah, so last big question. Given all this, draft or no draft, what is your outlook on Eagles going into the fall 2020, assuming that we still have football? Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I'll be realistic. I mean, we went 9-7 this past year.
Somehow, you bandaged together a 9-7 record.
Bandaged together, stapled it together. I don't know how, with some confetti and macaroni and the glue pasted together. I think winning the division is a solid goal. I think that's a solid, believable thing that's going to happen. I think they're going to definitely, of all the teams that have had upheavals and after free agency and the signings, I think the Eagles came out the most improved and did not lose, except Nigel and Malcolm, really.
Well, you're the only team in the division that isn't replacing their head coach. So
correct. So that's also nice. I think winning the division is the likely, thing. Are they going to run into Are they going to run into Breeze again in the Saints or somebody, or Seattle? Seattle and the Saints are always our bugaboo teams that we always end up somehow facing in the playoffs. Could be. Or maybe it's now going to be the Bucs. I don't know. But I could see winning wild card or winning that first round game now, because there's going to be only one bye, so that's exciting.
Yeah. Race for that number 1 seed.
I think it's going to be a division winner and a 1-win playoff team. Prove me wrong.
No, I mean, I think that's very realistic. I think they're the clear division favorites to me. I mean, the Cowboys, I think, have a lot of talent just as well, but I just really do not know how that's going to work out with Mike McCarthy. So I think the Eagles are the division favorites. And hey, if you draft some skill players and you hit on them,
that's the hope.
Then you're good as gold.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much, Steven, for coming on. This was awesome.
Of course.
Noted Eagles fan Steven Peters, you're welcome back anytime. We'll definitely get your thoughts after the draft.
Yes, please.
We're going to be getting everybody's thoughts, and we'll maybe bring you on in the interim. We still got a whole month to go. Good Lord.
I know, wow.
But stay safe, buddy. Stay inside.
Oh, yeah. You too, brother.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
All right, brother. Take care.
We are joined now by resident Dallas Cowboy fan and consistent pain in my side, Austin Reynolds. How you doing, Austin?
I'm doing better than the Cowboys are, I'll tell you that much.
I feel like we're all doing better than the Cowboys. Before we get into this, we just want to say, you and your family, you guys are good. You guys are holding out and all that stuff.
Yeah, we're doing all good. We're down here in Florida. I guess we're the only family taking it seriously. Walmart's still packed. Target's still packed. Luckily, they closed Vicky Bakery, but that's it's about. I know essential businesses, but it's been weird.
Yeah, we Floridians just can't take anything seriously, man. We gotta get it together, bro. We gotta get it together.
Yeah, we do.
But hey, look, we didn't bring you on to talk about the quarantine and COVID and all that stuff. We're trying to just move on and focus on the one sports thing that we can control right now, which is our coverage of the upcoming NFL draft. It's in 3 weeks. And we wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit about the Cowboys, just see where as an organization, you are more in tune with Dallas than we are. And so we wanted to just ask you just a few questions to see exactly what it is that maybe their draft plan, how everything is affected, and you guys had a bunch of things thrown at you this offseason. So just to see how just to see how that stuff responds. But let's start with last year. Let's start with 2019. How did you feel you guys did last year? I know you finished 8-8?
Yeah, we finished 8-8, just like basically every other season. We did a lot of things right, but we did a lot of things, wrong, obviously. Leighton Vander Esch, he balled out.
Had a really good year.
Smith. Oh, yeah, both of them. They had great years. Yeah. Sean Lee was back to actually being healthy, which was a shock. Mm-hmm. Jason Witten should have stayed in the booth. Dude, it was a rough season.
Well, hey, it seemed like it was a 1-year thing for him, so.
Well, now he's in Oakland, so.
You can't control the old guys.
Their problem. It's Gruden's problem now.
But wait, hold on. But how do you feel about that? Because Witten is like a staple of the Cowboys. I remember last year when he came out of the booth, everyone was like, oh, okay, cool, Witten's giving it one last go. How do you feel with him being in an Oakland uniform?
The same way we felt about Emmett being in a Cardinal uniform. It's just, it is what it is with Jerry. It happens. I hope, speaking on that note, I hope we bring Dez back. I'd like to see him back in the Cowboys uniform after that very unfortunate Achilles injury.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes. Mm-hmm. I know he wants to go back. I know he's been talking with Coop and stuff like that. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. All right. Before I jump into like these other questions I have, I do want to ask you about probably the biggest thing that happened this offseason. Up to a certain point. First, I want to talk to you about Dak and the whole contract situation with Dak. He was put on the franchise tag this year. He's going to be making $28.7 million. He's responsible for about 13% of your entire cap. And there were rumors, according to Stephen A. Smith of ESPN, he was saying that Dak was in the market trying to get upwards to like $38-40 million a year. How do you feel about that? Because I know you guys like Dak. I know Jerry likes Dak. And he's a big influence in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. How do you feel about offering him an extension this season, trying to work it out like it was last year? Or do you blame him for just kind of riding it out and trying to reset this whole quarterback market, especially with Teddy Bridgewater getting the money he got and with all the quarterback carousel that happened this past season?
First off, I don't blame Dak at all. Last season was that kind of prove your worth season, and he balled out. He balled out. The losses weren't on. I can't hang them specifically on his shoulders because with Jason Garrett, who's gone, he's finally gone.
Goodbye to the clapper.
Oh God, yes. So Jason Garrett's very lackadaisical coaching approach and taking his foot off the gas or not, attacking with the ball early on in games, kind of put Dak in a predicament. Same thing with Zeke. Zeke's numbers last year were nowhere near what they've been the last 3 years.
Right.
So that being said, we should pay Dak. I don't know about that 38 to 40 mil a year.
Yeah, especially because the way quarterback contracts are set up now, most of that stuff is guaranteed, and you're going to hold yourself in a horrible cap situation for the first 2-3 years.
Yep. And that being said, I do believe he's worth somewhere in the 30 range. I'd say around there. Probably less than like 30, 33, something like that. That's a solid range per year for the man. Probably 5 years, that 120, something like that.
That will put him. Right now he's 27, so that'll put him to be about 33 years old when that contract expires, which I think is a good kind of reset point for a quarterback where know either great, he can play another 5 years, or maybe he's starting to turn down. Another big news in the offseason, you're kind of stalwart on the offensive line. Travis Frederick, the center, retired. He retired.
Yep.
Do you think that creates an immediate need it obviously creates a big hole in the offensive line, but does it create an immediate need for your offensive line? Because as of right now, according to Draft Network, which is what Tyler and I love to use here, your primary needs are cornerback, which is desperate, especially since my Dolphins took Byron Jones from you. Edge rusher, safety, and then now they put interior offensive lineman. Do you think that center becomes kind of the priority? How do you address that in the draft? Or are you maybe looking to see if you can address that maybe next free agency and kind of take this year with Dak at the franchise tag? It's kind of like let's see how we do.
Well, we pulled somebody as I forget who it was that we pulled as a center last offseason,
right?
Just as like a backup to Travis, which was great because Travis was in and out with he had something, I can't remember what it was, but he was in and out all season. Same thing with Tyron Smith. But I think
it was Joe Looney you signed.
Yeah, Joe Looney, that's who it is. I think center will be fine this year. I think if we're going to draft anyone, it's going to be on the line. I think if we're going to draft anyone, it's going to be like a weak side guard.
Okay.
Just to cover Dak's offside, just in case, just to beef up that center field.
Well, right now you have Zach Martin penciled in there, but his health has been a question for the past few years. So I get that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. If we can get some big boys on that line, we'll be set. Obviously, our draft needs are corners, edge rushers, everything on the defense, basically.
Right. Is there anything that you particularly like? Like, is there a specific player you'd like to see? Because you got the 17th pick in the first round. They've got us pulling
C.J. Henderson.
I did see that. I've seen CJ head to you.
A good old bobblehead. I've
seen CJ head to you guys. I've seen AJ Espenza, aka AJ Empanada, as we refer to him on this show, head to you guys. I've seen Yerder Grass-Matos fall to you guys. So I'm seeing exactly where it falls in. Would you be willing to take one of those top safeties like Antoine Winfield Jr., like Buddy out of LSU, whose name is literally escaping me right now?
Not Del Pitt, right?
I'm sorry?
Are you talking Del Pitt?
Yeah, Del Pitt, Grant Del Pitt, sorry. Are you willing to take one of those safeties over maybe cornerback and edge? Because Tyler and I have talked about this with corners where the consensus number one is Jeffrey Okudah. and then the number
and
2.
then it's Isaiah Simmons.
And then, that's the thing. Isaiah Simmons just plays anything.
He's anything.
But more traditional corners. You got Jeffrey Okudah,
Okay.
and then secondary, we kind of put CJ. And then after that, we kind of have just like a list of 5 or 6 that would be...
That are kind of, they fit it.
More in the second round. So I feel personally that the value is more taking in one of those top 3 or 4 edge rushers and one of those top 3 safeties early. Would you be more comfortable with that, or are you kind of locked in on, I need a cornerback to replace Byron Jones?
It's definitely a glaring need. We definitely need corners, just because our weakness for the last basically feels like 20 years has been our secondary.
Right.
I'd love CJ, but if we don't take CJ and we do go for a safety first and the 17th pick, I'd be fine with that, just because corner is pretty deep this year. Same thing. Edge rush is pretty deep this year.
Right.
I'm more interested to see. I hope we pull some receivers, because we've got Coop. We've got
well, if you want to talk about Coop just got the bag. So
yeah, no, Coop's going to be there. Coop's going to be there for forever. But we need somebody to take the pressure off Coop.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any wide receiver in mind specifically in this draft? Someone maybe.
I'd love to see anybody from out of the SEC. I'd love to see anybody out of Louisiana. I know, everybody would love to see someone at LSU.
Right.
I know who left that from Florida.
It's Tyree Hammond, who seems to have been there for decades, and then,
exactly.
Tyree Hammond and shoot, I don't know. I forgot the third one. Who came out of Florida?
Yeah.
So is that more of a, since you're talking about those kind of former Gators, is that more of a 2nd to 4th round acquisition?
Yeah.
Is that a day 2?
100%. 100%. Okay. That's a more day 2 acquisition. That's more just filling in the holes, filling in the needs.
Right.
Definitely just taking that chance, just because we're kind of thinned out at receiver and tight end and all that.
So in terms of strategy, are you more thinking that defensive side of the ball, 1st round, maybe 2nd round?
100%.
And then best skill player available in that sense for the 2nd or 4th?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes more sense. That makes more sense to me. I like that. I do like that a lot. Is there any specific player that you would be kind of ideally wanting to get, kind of no holds barred? Like if there was a way for you to trade up into the top 10, right? Because you're at 17. Is there a player that you would think realistically, if we could trade up, who would we want in that sense? And what team you would trade with? Who would you trade with?
Oh, geez, give me a sec to look up, because I know the Dolphins have like 15 picks in the top 10.
So we have 5. So we have pick 5, which I don't know if it would be very open to trading it, but
yeah, no, you guys, the Dolphins are looking to sell the farm to get Joey.
So yeah, there is a report. Tyler and I are gonna address this in our pod, in this pod that you're listening to, listeners. There is a report that the Dolphins are trying to trade up for the number 1 overall pick, and I think by the time that they've been listening to this portion of the interview, Austin, I have already bored them to death with my assessment of that, so we'll kind of just hold off on that one.
Fair.
But I'm thinking, like, for example, if you were to trade up, right, what would you be willing to give up to go up to the top 5 to take someone like Jeffrey Okudah, right? The clear consensus number 1 corner.
It would have to be a pick and a player, or it would have to be like 2 picks, and we've got 17. Then in the 2nd round, we're just in the middle for the rest of it.
You have pick 51 in the 2nd round, pick 82 in the 3rd. You essentially have 1 pick in the first 4 rounds, middle of the pack, 2 5th rounders, and a 7th this year.
Yeah, I could see us trying to trade away like our 1st and a 3rd or something to get up into that top 10, but. Honestly, I don't see Jerry doing that. I see Jerry trying to just pick them as many as he can and see where the chips fall.
Okay. Rather than attacking a specific position. Yeah,
because that's what it's been for the last couple of years. Because even the year when they wanted him to draft Johnny Manziel, he just was like, people were telling him obviously not to draft Johnny, even though he wanted to, and he didn't trade that pick away. He just kind of just went as many picks as he could get.
Acquired assets and then kind of pulled the trigger when he wanted to.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. All right, Tyler. Well, if you were Jerry Jones, I just called you Tyler. Austin, if you were Jerry Jones, Dude, I'm on Skype with Tyler every week, once or twice a week. So like Skype to me, I associate with Tyler.
I feel you.
Austin, if you were Jerry Jones, what would you want to pull the trigger? What's your dream haul for this draft? Like ideally, who are the 2-3 players that you would be like over the moon excited that you took in this draft? Because remember, you got defensive help that you need to get. Now you got offensive line. So it's essentially safety, cornerback, edge, and offensive line help there. And like you said, wide receiver skill players in the later rounds.
That's a great question. If I'm following draft stock as we've seen, I'd say if we could get CJ in that first pick,
okay,
or even if we could somehow, if Delpit falls that far, because as diehard a Florida fan as you know I am, I've seen that man get exposed all season.
Yeah.
So I think I'm hoping if they watch the same footage we did, they'll see that he's got a couple deficiencies, not something that'll make him like fall to the third round or something, but something that'll make him fall far enough.
Okay. See, right now, what Tyler and I have been mocking is Delpit's kind of gone in like the mid-20s, so we feel like he would definitely be there. And right now, he's the 4th highest safety ranked on the Draft Network. The highest ranked safety right now is Xavier McKinney, again in the SEC out of Alabama. I personally like Antoine Winfield the most. I think he was baller at Minnesota, and he had a big part. Yeah, he was a big reason.
Rowing the boat.
Oh, for sure. He was a big reason why Minnesota in that second half against Penn State really shut them down over in the air, because they kind of torched them in the first half, and Antoine Winfield was just like, you know what, I'm not going to let this happen again. And so as of right now, they're higher ranked, but I get you. If you could get you can get Delpit at that position at that value.
You pull the trigger on Delpit.
Yeah, you could. I would understand a team pulling the trigger at that point. I get that for sure.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, so Tyler is talking to friend of the pod, Steven Peters, noted Eagles fan, and I'm pretty sure he's going to ask Steven this same question, except in reverse. What would be the best thing for you, Austin Reynolds, Dallas Cowboys fan? What would be the best thing the Eagles could do in this draft that would make you happy, you a Cowboys fan happy?
The best thing the Eagles could do right now is ship all of their picks off to Chicago to pick up Nick Foles again.
Oh my God!
Just hit him with the baby comeback. That's.
I mean, they already have a statue of him in
exactly.
Front of the link, so
they haven't made it to the Super Bowl since they got rid of him. Maybe he's their good luck charm. They need him.
These are not opinions. These are facts, ladies.
These are facts. These are facts.
Oh man. What if it was someone in the draft? Who would you want to see? Like, for example, I know for a fact that if a friend of mine who's a Jets fan and they see the Dolphins take, someone like, I'm gonna do it to myself. We take Justin Herbert, right? Jets fans would be thrilled. Jets fans would be thrilled. Who would you be thrilled of the Eagles taking in that first round?
I'd love to see the Eagles take Delpit.
After all we just talked. Oh my gosh!
I'm telling you, Delpit's gonna be a hit or miss. He's either gonna be early career Morris Claiborne, or he's gonna be early career Tyrann Mathieu. It's gonna be we're gonna see one of the two.
Wow, what a bold statement made by Austin Reynolds, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, that would be pretty good for you. I can assume. Hey, Austin, let's wrap this up real quick. How do you feel like your boys are going to do next year?
I'm gonna go bold. I'm gonna go over the top. I'm gonna say 9-7.
9-7. Now, how does that put you? I hate that I fell for it. Are you seriously going 9-7? Is that what you think?
No, I think we'll, with Mike McCarthy. He's more of a short ball kind of guy, and Dak's perfect for the short ball, for the scramble. And I think once we shore up our receiving core and all that, we'll be set for the short to intermediate ball, which is where Mike McCarthy kind of shines, which is where they tried to keep early season Aaron Rodgers in the pack there. I think realistically, I'd say like 10-11 wins.
Okay. Wow. That's
Listen, if we could go 8-8 with Jason Garrett, I think we could, with some fresh blood and some fire under them. I think we can pull another 1 or 2 wins.
Okay, so how do you feel McCarthy's going to do in that first season? You were talking about the short to mid passing game is. I mean, he used to have Aaron Rodgers, but listen, we like Dak, but Dak is no Rodgers.
Yeah, of course not.
How do you feel that that's going to the offense? How long is it going to take to click? How long is that offense going to take to click?
I'd say game 5 or 6. I think that's when we're going to see it click.
Game 5 or 6. Okay.
Yeah, game 5 or 6. I think we'll get glimpses all throughout. It's going to be not dump offs to Zeke, but probably like a lot of dump offs to tight ends to Jaws. There's going to be a lot of that, a lot of tight ends, a lot of slot receiver. It's probably Cooper going long for some bombs every once in a while, but I think we'll start consistently rolling the ball probably like 5 or 6.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right before midway.
So if you're going to say 10 to 11 games, we're going to play a quick game, okay? I'm going to go ahead and throw you your schedule. Now, the official schedule hasn't been released, but we know your opponents. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to you, and we're going to count it out and see exactly how it works, all right?
Okay.
All right. At Baltimore.
Loss.
Okay,
Loss.
0-1. All right.
We're okay. Go ahead.
Lamar Jackson and the Broward County Ravens are just going to...
Oh, yeah, they're gonna run all over it.
For sure. 0-1. At Cincinnati.
Win.
1-1. The Giants at Jerry World.
Win.
2-1. The Eagles at Jerry World.
I think we're going to split. I think we're going to lose to them at Jerry World, and then we're going to beat them at they're the link, right?
Yeah. So 2-2. Okay.
Yeah.
The Washington football team at home.
Oh, that's a sweep. We're winning that one.
All right, 3-2.
I love Ron Rivera, but we're taking that.
Yeah, I get that. The Cleveland Browns at home.
Ooh, it's going to be a close one, but I think we're going to take that one.
All right, so that's 4-2, right?
Yep. I think
4-2.
it's going to, because that's game 6. I think that's when we'll pick up. I think it's going to come close to the half, and then at the second half, we're just going to blow them over.
So if that game is earlier on in the first quarter of the season, you might be in some trouble. But if it's
we might be in some trouble.
Okay.
Just because I think I really want Baker to pull off this season.
Yeah, me too. I am a Baker.
I'm a big Baker believer, baby.
Me too, man. Me too. I feel you. All right, let's chalk it up as a win. All right, so let's chalk that up as 4-2.
Okay.
The Arizona Cardinals at home.
Ooh, I think that's going to be a loss. I think that's going to catch us sleeping.
Yeah, the Cardinals are going to, and Tyler and I will talk about this later on, but the Cardinals are poised to do some things next year, especially after that trade.
They're poised to be stacked this year.
So that's 4-3. The 49ers at Jerry World.
I think that's going to be that one can go either way, because I know we kind of play up to our competition, but we also play down to our competition. So I think I'm going to call it a loss, but I think it can go either way.
Okay. All right, good. We'll chalk it up 4-3.
Yep.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's 4-4.
4-4, my bad. The Pittsburgh Steelers at home, a classic NFL rivalry.
We're taking that one. That one's us.
5-4. The Falcons at home.
I think we'll take that.
6-4. You got the Rams in LA.
Oh yeah, we're taking that.
7-4.
Oh, the fire sale Rams.
Oof.
Okay.
And they don't have a first round pick in this year's draft or next year's draft.
Oof. Yep.
What was that? 6-4?
I think it was 7-4.
7-4. The Vikings in Minnesota.
Oh, it's a loss. That's a loss right there.
Oh, okay, interesting. 7-5. The Giants in New Jersey.
We're taking that.
All right. What is that? 8-5.
Yep.
The Eagles.
We haven't lost to the Giants in 2-3 years now.
Which, honestly, is perfectly okay. The Giants are not a good football team.
Yep.
The Eagles at the Link.
We're taking the Eagles at the Link.
So they're beating you in Jerry World. You're winning in the Link.
Yep.
Okay, so that's 8-5. The Seattle Seahawks at CenturyLink in Seattle.
Somehow we play our best ball against Seattle.
Okay.
I don't get it. We just it's the weirdest thing. The last 3 years we've just played ball against Seattle.
Okay.
Because we beat them in the playoffs 2 years ago, only to lose to the Rams the next week.
Okay.
And we've beaten them on the road, I think, 2 out of the last 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll take that one.
Good. All right. I like that. So that's a dub. I think that is 10-5 right there. And then Washington in Maryland, and you said there that's a dub.
Just a dub.
So that's 11-5 that you would end. And at that point, your only division loss would be the Eagles at home, which would give you the division.
Listen, we came up to the same thing last season where our only division loss was the Eagles. Nothing is certain, all right?
No, nothing is certain. Let me tell you, man, the NFC East, one of the wildest divisions in all of football.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible, man. Hey, Austin, anything that you want to plug, anything that you want to mention for our listeners? Your Twitter, want to follow you on Twitter, any of those kind of things?
You should definitely not follow me on Twitter. Definitely don't do that, especially during football season. Go Cowboys, go Gators.
Big supporter of that second phrase, not so much of that first phrase. Thank you so much, friend of the pod, Austin Reynolds, a resident Dallas Cowboy fan. We appreciate you coming on. You and your family stay safe, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. All right, take it easy.
Big thanks to Steven. Big thanks to Austin for coming on to the pod. Very helpful, all that information for us, especially since we are officially 3 weeks out from the NFL draft. Big thanks to them. Always welcome on the pod. Hey, Tyler, what's one thing that you really liked about what Austin said about his Cowboys? Just to kind of recap it.
A couple things. I mean, the transparency of his hatred to the Philadelphia Eagles. But I think his one thing that I like about it is just very hyper aware.
Mm-hmm.
Defense.
Yes, defense.
Because I would agree, because the Cowboys have, and people argue a lot about it. You know, the how good these players are, but they have a cornerstone at all three positions of offense. They have their offensive line,
right,
but they also have a quarterback they can build around. They have a running back they build around.
They have a quarterback this year.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see how it goes.
But that's not something you have to address in the draft this year. They have a quarterback. They have a running back. They have a dominant wide receiver. But they don't really have an identity on the defensive side of the ball
at all.
So I think that was a very smart and just very smart take. Like, most of their draft should be centered towards defense.
I think he's a little higher on Mike McCarthy in his first year than we are, but that's understandable. It's his team.
I'm more than anything just want to know what Mike McCarthy is without Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, right. That's the big issue. That's the big question mark there.
I never think I don't think we've ever figured that out. I mean, he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, that was with Rodgers.
You could also argue he only won one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. You can flip it both ways on it.
And I'm just interested to find out where the truth is in that.
Yeah. That's a great point. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah. I think.
So, what was on the flip side? What is what's your favorite thing from my interview with Steven?
Two things. Number one, I completely forgot DJ Metcalf was still on the board when the Eagles took whoever it was that they took a wide receiver. And that's the point. I have zero idea. When Steven brought that up, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, who's on the roster? I was full Snoop Dogg. Who? At that, I went on my computer and I was like, yo, who? Oh, I remember this guy, second rounder. Okay, cool. I forgot DJ was on the board, or DK was on the board.
Yeah.
Which, imagine
Carson
Wentz with a healthy DJ Metcalf. Woo!
Imagine Carson Wentz with any wide receivers.
I know, right? People still continue to doubt the greatness that is Carson Wentz. That's the first thing. The second thing was, oh boy, Washington football team are going to draft Chase Young, and then the Giants are going to draft Isaiah Simmons, and it's going to be a nightmare for Steven in the division.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
That's the thing. When I asked him what his, I love when I asked him, "What's your nightmare situation?" It's like the Washington team taking Chase Young. I was like, "Well, buddy, that's going to happen."
Yeah, so you need to get ready for that. Oh my gosh. Great interviews, man. We really appreciated them coming on. They're always more than welcome to come on the pod, as they know. So that was Team Talks 1.0. We'll be back next week with some of that, but that's some news for later. In the meantime, Tyler, we usually are very warm and very receptive to the idea of bag dropping on this show.
Absolutely.
But instead of bag dropping it at sidelinejudgment@gmail.com, we would once again like to encourage you to please drop all of your bags to any local organization fighting against the coronavirus and helping things like helping get PPE things for people in hospitals, feeding children that don't have the food. One of my personal favorites is Feeding America, and I specifically am a fan of the Feeding South Florida just because I have a special connection with the area. As you know, I grew up. I was one of those kids on free and reduced lunch. It was a very big thing, and you know, it hits home literally. So for me, Feeding South Florida, Feeding America, anywhere locally, make sure you're donating your bags to those locations for as long as the pandemic is going on and that stuff. And I know you share the same sentiment, Tyler. So
Absolutely.
Tyler, I guess it's time to wrap up the show. But before we do that, we got to go ahead and talk about our flagship segment, Tweets We've Shared. Tyler, what's your favorite tweet that I've shared with you this week?
In this age of not really sure how the college football season is going to play out, you sent me a tweet from Alex Kirshner about Wisconsin's 2020 schedule. It says Wisconsin's 2020 schedule is one of the more underrated "this is a bad idea" schedules out there. And you look at it, and I mean, I'll just read off the schedule. I mean, you start with Indiana Hoosiers and Southern Illinois Salukis.
Let's just off the bat remind everyone, Wisconsin is in the Big Ten West, which means it is in one of the easier divisions in college football.
Absolutely,
in terms of the Power Five.
Yeah. Wisconsin's one of the only powers in that division that is relatively consistent.
Exactly.
So they start off the year pretty easy, Indiana and Southern Illinois. And they're going to end the year. Minnesota's oddly, their biggest rivalry oddly is in the middle of the year this year. Right before the bye week. Don't really understand that.
Shocked to see that.
They've got, could be marginally tough late slate with at Purdue, Nebraska, and at Iowa. But I think Wisconsin peaks around that time of the year because of their style of play.
Right.
It's the little early middle part of the schedule that's the really bad idea part. You go from playing the App State Mountaineers at home, then at Michigan the next week, then to go to Lambeau Field in Green Bay to play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. What?
This is a bad idea.
You could win all three of those games. It would still be a terrible idea.
This is a horrible idea.
Yeah.
This is if I was to take the Wisconsin job tomorrow, I'd literally look at the schedule and go, "Yo, who did this, and how can I fire them?" Like, what? And you know what the excuse is? Oh, the Notre Dame game is going to be neutral field. No, it won't.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Are you out of your mind? It's at Lambeau. Oh my God. Which, by the way, cool to play a game at Lambeau as a college player.
Just if that was the first game of the season, I'd be all for it.
Oh yeah, neutral site, first game of the season, and an NFL stadium.
It's that these three games are bunched literally back to back to back
in the middle of the season.
I'm for certain that they're losing the Notre Dame game. And guess what the next game after the Notre Dame game is?
Isn't it
the biggest rivalry of the season against Minnesota?
Isn't it Minnesota? Yeah. Oh, first of all, who schedules App State?
Why would you ever do that at this point?
Why would you schedule a good Group of 5 team? If you are a Power 5 team with aspirations for your conference championship, why are you scheduling a good Group of 5 team? It makes no sense. Do not schedule the Boise States of the world. Do not schedule the North Dakota States of the world. I know they're D2, FCS, but do not schedule them. Do not schedule the powerhouse that has just won and turned around their program like an App State. Do not schedule FAU in the Lane Kiffin era. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I don't know.
Incredible. Shout out to you guys for being dumb with the schedule. All right, Tyler. My favorite tweet that you shared with me is by Ian Rappaport, giving us a nice little update on the Patriots quarterback room. The hashtag Patriots are releasing quarterback Cody Kessler, source said, leaving just Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham in their quarterback room. A surprise. New England cut and brought back Kessler during the season. And then you said that quarterback room is just music. And I went, oh, chef's kiss. Now, this does fear me a little bit. The pessimistic Dolphin fan in me came in immediately, and I was like, I don't like that. You want to know why? Because that means they're going to try to go after a quarterback in the draft. I don't want them to go after Tua. I don't want them to.
No, they're signing Cam Newton.
Or even worse, they're signing Cam Newton. I think that's what I texted.
Now,
I said that
personally
too.
want them to sign Jameis Winston because I think that would be legitimately hilarious.
I would love to play Jameis Winston twice a year. I would love to do that. And I think I was right too with the Cam thing, because my response to that was, except the Pats are going to sign Cam, I can feel it in my bones. Yeah.
Just enjoy it right now. Enjoy it right now.
100%. Oh my God.
Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham are the opposing quarterbacks.
If we could freeze this in time, that would be great. It'd be phenomenal.
Well, we're all basically frozen in time in this pandemic anyway, so.
Speaking of that, all right, Tyler, we're going to go ahead and talk about our next episode. Join us next week for our next edition of Team Talks, where we are going to talk to friend of the pod, Storm Tracy, about his beloved New Orleans Saints, and friend of the pod, poor Bucks fan, Tyler Renfro, is making his long-awaited return to the pod. He is going to talk about his new look Bucks. With Chris Godwin wearing number 14, making room for Tom Brady with his 12. Tune in next week for that episode. We're going to have more interviews with them. And
by the way, I'm fielding trade offers for Chris Godwin because he decided to take the number 14.
Why?
Terrible receiver number.
Oh my God, I'm done with you. I'm done.
Great quarterback number, just terrible receiver number.
Isn't Jarvis Landry's number 14?
He's 80 right now, but he was 14.
He was 14 for the Fins. I had that jersey. I had the throwback Jarvis jersey.
I've seen it, yeah.
I sold it the year before we traded him. Like a genius.
Great value.
But now I need a new jersey. Yeah, sell high, buy low.
I'm joking. I'm not fielding trade offers for Chris Godwin, whose quarterback is now Tom Brady.
Yeah, no, don't do that. All right, well, that's it for this episode. Tyler, before we go, we wanted to mention a little quarantine activity we've been doing. And that's been catching up on a certain documentary on Netflix. And I want to let you know, if you're just here for the sports, feel free to turn this pod off right now. The next 5 minutes are going to be all about, you guessed it, Tiger King. I'm 3 episodes in, Tyler.
Give it to me. What do you think?
Carol did it.
Oh, she did it. Carol
1,000% killed her husband and fed him to the lions.
I finished Tiger King last night.
Okay.
It definitely. I'm not going to spoil anything. Mm-hmm. It sustains, like, the first 3 episodes are wild.
Okay.
It sustains it. It peaks again,
mm-hmm.
and then it kind of just like goes and then it ends. And the ending feels right.
But it never comes down?
Not really.
Okay.
But there's a moment that I want to let you know that there's a moment with Carol coming forward, like an offhand thing that to me was just like, oh, she definitely did.
Okay, is that when you texted me at 1 a.m. last night?
Yes. Because there's a moment. She says something that is so oddly specific.
Okay.
She's like, yeah, that wouldn't work unless you did this. And I like perked up in my seat and I'm just like, how would you know that?
I just want to say one thing. Tiger King is the pit of Netflix shows. Just so much chaotic energy. You never know where it's going to go.
There's not a single like good person in this show.
Oh yeah, it's everything
except for like maybe like the employees,
but
even
that's
them.
The thing. And I was watching, and all right, this is going to be spoiler alert for at least the first 3 episodes. So if you want to watch it, don't want to be spoiled, turn it off right now. I'll give you 5 seconds.
Watch this show; it's worth it.
3, 2, 1. All right, we're going in. What I feel like the show does really well is it gives you one crazy thing, and then it just like has something else come out of nowhere and tops it and goes that way. But then all of a sudden, they come in from another angle, and they're like, these people are giving them jobs because they're ex-felons, and they're this and that, and they have nowhere else to go. And I'm like, well, damn. I mean, I guess these people have nothing else to do. Like they don't have families, they don't have this, and I feel bad for them. And they're finding a sense of community. It's just
and they're offering them the jobs, and I'm like, yeah, good for you. Like that's a good thing that you're doing. And then
it's like, and they make $100 a week, and they live in an RV with rats, and they don't feed them, and they literally get the expired food from Walmart. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh.
It's like, oh, okay. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, back to talking about how this woman murdered her husband, And the thing that really
She
got me,
murdered her.
the thing that really got me was the kids and the ex-wife, where they were like, "Why don't you speak up and like legally fight her for this stuff?" And they're like, "We are afraid of this woman." And it's like, oh, got it. God, say less. I got it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like it's not worth it at that point. Because I mean, I imagine for them that they know. Like, well, the crazy thing is that the police are reopening the investigation because of this documentary.
Of course they are. They have to. It's insane, man. And I don't even want. And the thing is that they keep teasing the fact that Joe Exotic is in. By the way, just top 5 college football names. Like if Joe Exotic was a college football player, it would be first ballot Hall of Fame in the all-name category.
We were joking about this earlier. If this documentary drops a year earlier, Joe Burrow's whole name last season is Joe Exotic.
1,000%.
And now we're gonna have to call him the Tiger King from now on because he's gonna go from the Tigers to the Bengals.
Right. And he will be the Tiger King, and he should run with that marketing. But yeah, I wish this came out last year because we would have just called him we would have just called him Joe Exotic the whole time. It would have been great. There would have been a trend. There would have been a push on Twitter to get him to the zoo. I don't know. Anyway, but my whole thing is that they keep teasing the fact that Joe Exotic is in jail and making phone calls from jail. And I'm like, yo, why is this man's in jail? And why is Carol Baskins not?
It's Sergio. It gets.
I'll be done by next. I'll be done by next week's pod. So
you need to live text me because
I will.
Look, there's a couple of reveals in episode 5 that made me and my roommate Risen just like park up on our seat and be like, "What?" This show is so. The thing is that this show is so well paced.
Yes, very well done.
In that they do such a good job of not giving you like every crazy thing that happens. You think that's the crazy thing about this, and they do a really good job of not showing you any other sides until they're ready to. And then in the last 5 minutes of an episode, they'll be like, "Oh yeah," in the last 5 minutes of episode 2, they're like, "And she murdered her husband."
And I was like, "I'm sorry,
like, what?"
So I was gonna watch one episode last night, and that's why I watched 2.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Hey, last point before we wrap up. Joe Exotic, pretty damn good songwriter.
At first, I was like, "Oh no, those songs like
they're not bad."
Low key.
They're not horrible. Like it's a good country song. Like
if I was in the country, like I wish that I could make fun of him for his songs, but I can't. Like,
and
they're
honestly,
not terrible.
I can't even. This the man is in a thruple. I just
Sergio. It gets.
We're gonna stop because I need to watch the ending of it and. I need to give you.
Gets crazier.
I need to give you a full review next week after I finish it up. I promise you, I have 4 episodes left. It's 7 episodes. I got 4 left. I will watch it. It'll be done.
All right, you get on that.
Oh my gosh! All right, well, this has been another episode of Sideline Judgment with a little Tiger King done at the end. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler,
and we are not biased. But what are we going today?
I saw a tiger.
I saw a tiger.
Tiger saw man.
We're not biased.
King, all right?
We're not biased, but go watch Tiger King.